All right, guys, so now we're going to look at word problems using addition and subtraction of fractions. So again, these are going to be more real-world problems, things like you'd see in everyday life. We're going to be reading them, but again, these are things that you could see in your everyday life while you're working around. This is how we actually use the math. We're working on September 21st through 24th. This is cycle 1C. That says 1B. We're actually using the skills from 1B, which is 6.C.2, which said I can fluently compute with fractions, decimals, and percentages. This cycle we're actually in 6.C.3, which is using those in real world form. All right, so let's move on. Real world math. So Mr. Stricker is making a batch of no-bake cheesecake bars. This is for real. The recipe for the filling calls for 1 heavy cup of cream, 2 1/4 cup of cream cheese, 3/8 of a cup of sugar, 1 1/4 cup of sour cream. Now the bowl he wants to use to mix the filling has a capacity of 4 1/2 cups. Will his bowl be large enough to mix all of these ingredients in it? Explain how you know. So again, this would be a multi-part problem, but at least our math part of the problem is going to be a little bit smaller. The second part of the problem would be explaining how we know that this bowl will be big enough. So here we go. Again, we're going to use that lovely cube method. We're going to circle our numbers, underline our question, box around our operative words, and eliminate everything else. All right. So let's read through this again and look at our numbers. So Mr. Stricker is baking a batch of no-bake cheesecake bars. The recipe for the filling calls for 1 heavy cup of cream. There's a number. 2 1/4 cups of cream cheese. We have 3/8 of a cup of sugar. That's another number. And last, I think, 1/4 of a cup of sour cream. And now we know the bowl that he wants to use to mix the filling has a capacity of, here's another number, 4 1/2 cups. Will this bowl be large enough to mix all of the ingredients in? Explain how I know. So I've got my numbers. Again, my question is, will my bowl be big enough to mix all of my ingredients in? And then I'm going to explain, which will be like another set part of my question. But the big question I'm looking for is my bowl big enough for all of these ingredients to mix up? I'm going to box my operative words. Usually, let's see here. I'm going to box around this whole thing here because I know if I know one thing, I know that everything that goes into making something, the ingredients, I'm adding them to the recipe. I'm adding them to the bowl, and that's going to be, well, addition. And then my capacity is going to be 4 1/2. I think I can actually work with what I've got here. I could go ahead and eliminate everything else, but these are the important things I need. I need the numbers here, and I need to know that I'm doing addition, of course. And then my 4 1/2. Well, let's set this up as a linear equation. Let's start with my numbers over here. So I have 1 cup of heavy cream. So I'm going to add a 1. I have 2 1/4 cups of cream cheese. Okay. I have 3/8 of a cup of sugar, and I have 1/4 of a cup of sour cream. Now, I need to know if all of that adds up to more or less than 4 1/2. And because I want to put them in my bowl, I'm not going to use an equal sign here. I'm going to put my 4 1/2 over on the far side. And I am hoping beyond hope, that 4 1/2, which is the number of cups that my bowl will hold, is bigger than or equal to the amount of ingredients that I have. If it's bigger than or equal to that amount of ingredients, if this is a true statement, if we can put a little check mark above it, that means that our ingredients will fit into our bowl. So really, this number on the other side, we don't have to work with him. We just need to check and make sure that these numbers added together are smaller than this number. So let's work that through. The first thing we need to do is find common denominators for all our fractions. Now, as I'm thinking through this, my 1 has no, I can add the 1 just like a whole number. So my whole numbers are going to be easy to add together. I do have some fractions here. So I have 2 1/4. I have a 3/8 and another 1/4. Now, luckily, those 4s and 8s are pretty easy to find common denominators for. 4 and 8 are both, actually 4 is a multiple of 8. So that means if I can multiply something by this guy to get this 8, I don't have to worry about that 8. That 8 can stay the same. All I need to worry about is my fourths. And I hope you guys know that 4 times 2 will equal 8. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my numbers now and I'm going to rewrite them with 8ths instead of fourths for my 2 fractions that had fourths in them. So my 1 will stay the same as I rewrite, and my 2, my whole number gets to stay the same, but this number, 1/4, needs to change to 8ths. And again, to multiply, what do I multiply 4 by to get 8? Let's multiply by 2. So that's what would go on the bottom, would be my 8, and my top would be 1 times 2, which would be 2. My 3/8 again can stay the same, because as long as I have the same denominator, I can add these fractions up. Plus 1/4, or again, this is the same as this one. I multiply my 4 by 2 to get 8, and then 1 times 2 would give me 2. And that still needs to be greater than or equal to 4 1/2. So here is my problem as I've rewritten it. I have 1 plus 2 2/8 plus 3/8 plus 2/8 again. Hopefully that will be less than or equal to 4 1/2. And now I can add everything up. I'm going to go ahead and add my whole numbers up. So 1 plus 2 is 3. Pretty easy, right? Now I've gotten rid of those. Now all I need to worry about are my 8ths. I have 2/8 plus 3 would give me 5, plus another 2 would give me 7. I have 7/8. So 3 7/8 is my answer to this addition problem. That is my sum. Is this greater than or equal to 4 1/2? Or sorry, less than or equal to 4 1/2? It is. So I could give my answer saying I only have 3 7/8 cups of total of ingredients to mix together, so they will indeed fit into a bowl that is has a capacity of 4 1/2 cups, because 3 7/8 is less than 4 1/2 cups. All right, that's all you need to do for that problem. So again, we set up a linear equation. We want to figure out what we need to know. We're going to go through, we're going to put our numbers in. When you're adding and subtracting fractions, just remember, whole numbers can kind of work on their own, but the fractions need to have a common denominator. If it's like this one where you can find a common denominator easy, you're good to roll. You just switch your make all your denominators the same. You multiply whatever you multiplied the bottom by to get the new common denominator. You multiply your numerator by that as well. You have your new fractions. You just add the tops together when all your denominators are the same, and you're good to go. That will give you your answer. Your denominator, of course, stays the same on the bottom. The number of pieces in a whole doesn't change. All right, guys, gals, that's what we got for you today. Hopefully, you can rock and roll on this IXL. Again, if you have any problems on the IXL, please stop before you get too far behind on your SMART score and contact Mr. Geiger or I and let us walk you through a problem or two so that you can get the hang of addition and subtraction with fractions and mixed numbers. Good luck, guys, and have a great week.